Hey, how you doing? I'm Tooley, and I'm the proud owner and founder of Tooley's Barbershop. We started this barbershop 2.5 years ago with the simple message of men's mental health, genuinely caring about people when they sit down into that seat, hearing their stories and seeing the actual inside of each customer that has come through that door. I'm not gonna lie, the last 2.5 years has been up and down, but it has been extremely humbling to be a part of this business and to be in charge of this team. So let me share a little bit about me. I grew up here in the local area of Kingaroy for most of my life. And through that time, I've obviously met a lot of people and shared a lot of their stories. It was great to come into this area and already have a bit of a head start and know so many people within the area. I've absolutely loved it. But I've definitely seen a massive shift in rural areas, and being on the other side and listening to each of my customers and seeing there is a massive mental gap for young men and older men too. I wanted to help that. I wanted to help them. I hope that with these stories that we share on this podcast, it resonates with you and it encourages you to speak up to those who you trust and the people that you love. How long have I been a barber for? Well, on and off about 14 years. I started my career on the Gold Coast in Ashmore Plaza after having a bit of a love affair of seeing barbers and seeing what they do and what they can produce, but also the impact that they have on not only myself when I did have hair, but also on people around you. Getting to talk with older people and hearing and sharing their stories certainly inspired me. And one of the people that inspired me the most to become a barber all those years ago was our good family friend who I consider an uncle, Ray Hurley. And after his elaborate years of, it'd have to be in excess of at least 45 years of barbering experience, seeing how cool and suave and how good he was with customers and people. He was a good people person, and I emulated that and thought that's my career. Now I did take a bit of a windy way of getting there, having multiple careers all the way from that start. See, back in those days, we're talking around about 2011, 2012, in Queensland at least, for as much as I know and can remember, there was no such thing as a barber's course. That had died out, in the 80s when the big hairdressing boom had taken over. So there wasn't really anywhere for, in particular, young men who aspired to become barbers. There wasn't really a pathway for them to become a barber. So my career was turbulent and wasn't quite streamlined, because back in those days you had to do a hairdressing course, and I did come back to home and I thank one of the local hairdressers for taking me on, Amichis. It's a little plug for you guys. They took me on as a hairdressing apprentice, and unfortunately it just didn't quite suit me, and I unfortunately put it down for a few years until they reopened up the barbering course. So in that time that it took for me to finally become a qualified barber amongst multitude of different careers, I've been everything from an abattoir worker, working in the boning room as a boning room packer, a labourer laying turf and building colour-bond fences, working as a bookkeeper for my father's accounting firm, working in youth work as a youth services helper, working in bars, predominantly in RSLs as bartenders, waiters, cellarman. Oh yeah, should yeah yeah, and obviously the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 6.5 years, and I was in the Air Force for 6.5 years. So that took up a fairly big chunk of my time, serving with the Royal Australian Air Force as an airfield defence guard, which was a fantastic career. It took me to so many different places that I would not have ever seen if I hadn't have joined. I got to meet some mates for life and make some memories for life. Some of the places where it took me were to Hawaii, Vietnam, Guam, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Dubai, and Afghanistan. I was lucky to deploy as part of my career. Unfortunately, for a lot of servicemen, they only train their whole careers and don't get to deploy that knowledge in an operational situation, where I was lucky enough to do that in August of 2021 with the Afghan withdrawal. Had the privilege of going into Kabul and pulling out Australian nationals, refugees, and Australian military components and government components, and bring them back to Australia. My little claim to fame was I was on the last plane out of Afghanistan. One of those stories that I'm more than willing to share, but it definitely gives me goosebumps every time I tell it. Being on the last plane out of Afghanistan, we were turning and burning whilst we were waiting at Kabul for the remaining Australian government officials to be boarded. We were waiting there for at least 2 or 3 hours until we took off, left Kabul, and then returned back to base to AMAB in Dubai. When we hopped off the plane, packed away all our gear, hand back our weapons, we went to the mess to eat dinner that night, and up on the news on the CNN, which you could easily see when you walk in, there had been terrorist attacks, IED explosions gone off, and unfortunately killed American troops in the same checkpoints that our Australian soldiers were at only moments before and hours before we'd taken them out of Afghanistan. That career for me, and in particular that trip for me, impacted me immensely and has helped shape me to become the best person, the best community person, and best barber I can be, and be a real spokesperson and hopefully role model for the veteran community. The hardest part of being a barber, I feel, and I don't mean to scare people off who are potentially looking at making a career change to barbering, is it has a lot of pros, but there are also cons. And those cons are, you are talking to a lot of people and you are taking on a lot of extra baggage. It is a very fine line when you're talking with your customer and sharing those stories and those moments, those precious moments with them, and having the mental fortitude and the ability to think fast on your feet and take on that information and hopefully give them good information back to them. Obviously, how I started this interview by saying, mental health is a major battle that a lot of us men do share. And it's something that you can't see. And I have the privilege to talk to people and then tell me and share their stories to me. The flip side to that is those stories can be very heavy. We've heard stories of death, with loved ones, close ones, friends, family, trauma related. And we have to have the ability to keep a straight face, try to lighten the mood or help offer guidance to those customers. And not only those customers, my friends. Us barbers really need to focus on our own mental health and our own avenues of how we deal with that information. So that's probably the hardest thing that you'll find. I find I've had some pretty good customers over the years. Not too many people have been rude or overstepped the mark, but it's definitely those harsher conversations that we've had, and try not to take too much of that home with me, is definitely the con of working as a barber. But it doesn't have to define you. It's okay. It's okay to look after yourself too. You know, if you have outside avenues, you have family and friends who you can share and talk to you about your own problems, and tell you what you're not quite being able to deal with, then hold on to those friendships and relationships, because they're important as you progress through this career. What are my hobbies outside of work? I have none. This place is my life. No. I love golf when I can actually get there. I love to golf. Used to do a fair bit of boxing, so I love fitness, boxing, but it was being a bit sucky on my wrists, and these are my money makers. Can't really do a whole lot with that, so had to give that away a little bit. Love my footy, up the nights. Yeah, I like watching footy. I like playing footy, not that I have in the last couple of years. Physical fitness is definitely one of my hobbies. I love going to the gym. That's great to keep the demons at bay, and it's great to just get those good endorphins flowing. I think fitness and barbering definitely go hand in hand. You need to be fit for this job because you're standing up for hours upon hours, and the main parts and places where you're gonna injure yourself or feel tired or broken is going to be through like mainly your midsection. Not that I have any abs, don't judge me. Working on it, and your neck, your spine, basically your whole body, and taking importance in fitness is a massive thing for me, and will always be a big hobby of mine. I love camping. Love shooting when I get a chance. Forward driving when it doesn't break my car and I have to spend a whole lot of money for that. Not really a hobby, but something that's been consuming my life at the moment has been renovations. Very rewarding post doing them, but during them, if you know, you know, it's a slow process. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. What job would I do if I wasn't a barber? Yeah, if I wasn't a barber, what would I be? I like helping people. And one of the things that I was lucky enough to do in the Air Force was a combat first aid course. So learning about medicine, learning how to draw drugs and administer drugs, helping people when they're hurt and it banged up. That really spiked my interest, seeing how the body works and how it doesn't work. I probably would lean towards, paramedicine. I've got absolutely high admiration for our paramedics and everything that they do, and making those split decisions in such a fast-paced environment. I think that's really cool. So I reckon if I wasn't a barber, I'd probably be in the health industry and hopefully as a paramedic. If I could go back in time to my younger self, talking about 18-year-old, what would I tell him? Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't think everyone has an opinion of you, and do what you think is right and what makes you happy. I let a lot of people persuade me and push me in directions that I did not want to go deep down. And all along I had that voice inside of me. So what I'm really trying to say is trust that voice inside yourself. If you want to do something, just do it. Have no plan B or C, just go for A and see where that takes you. The hardest part of my life that I've had to overcome, I don't think there's like there's one particular moment. There's been a lead up of moments, but the hardest part of my life was probably when I was when I was in the military, and although I really enjoyed my time in there, the saying, when the shoe fits or it doesn't fit, there were times where I certainly didn't feel like I could be myself, or it was something that actually was me and reflected the type of person that I was. Spending that amount of time away from family and in particular my then fiance and now beautiful wife, it takes a lot of emotional toll on relationships, spending that amount of time away from the people that you love at a moment's notice, and having to do that on repeat was definitely the hardest times of my life. And that's time that unfortunately I'll never get back. I feel like it has also made my relationship with my wife grow since leaving defence and making that decision to leave defence. That too in itself, discharging from the military, it's a massive life shift. And for some, it is a massive life shift. And for some, it can really weigh people down. I've had multiple friends who have chosen to leave that world, because don't forget, like you when you're in, you feel like you've got that sense of purpose. You all wear the uniform, you all share the common goal. You've got a steady income, you've got a whole range of health benefits and all these benefits. So you feel pretty cushy. So when you leave that cushy cloud, I guess, and you come out into reality, and reality doesn't quite go the way you pictured it, it can be quite confronting, because it's not how you envisioned your post-military career. So yeah, there's a multiple times where life has been difficult. Like every human, we have to persevere, we adapt, and we have to overcome those tough moments of our life. And I'm far better and far stronger person I am today than what I was, 5, 10, 10, 12 years ago. What do I think makes someone a good man in today's day? I think a strong man is someone who is kind, caring, and considerate of those people around them. It's someone who leads from the front and does what they say they're going to do. One major thing that I see with some of my customers who aren't quite in that man phase of their life, and this could be, high school, but also young adulthood, is that they don't take themselves more seriously. And I don't mean be a stickler for fun. I mean dressing yourself accordingly, talking to people a lot better, and a lot articulating what they want to say. I think having good control of your emotions and having the ability to both be physically and mentally be able to protect someone, that to me makes a man. Why do I find it hard for men to open up? I think definitely in today's era, it is exceptionally hard for men to open up, because if they truly say what they are thinking, they'll be persecuted. The reason why I started this podcast, StagStigma, was to highlight we are all very similar in our thoughts and opinions. And it is exceptionally difficult to understand and hard to see that more men don't talk amongst each other about these sorts of problems. Now, I'm privy to a lot of this information because I'm in such close proximity to people when I'm cutting their hair. I find there's like a wall, and men throughout time have been told that it's weak to go seek help, or it's weak to talk to other people, in particular close friends or relatives. A lot of that hasn't been shown or been passed down from generation as to actually having the ability and emotional awareness to talk to people that you love and care about. We find it exceptionally hard to share those moments because they're confronting. We have a belief that if we share these moments, we might look weak, or that the person that we're talking to will look at us differently. Well, for the most part, if you see in our videos that we're all pretty similar and that we all share very similar ideas. What do I want people to remember me for? Someone that they could talk to, someone that they could rely upon, a safe and caring ear. I want people to know that I really did care about them, my shop, and my community, and most importantly, my country. That's what I want to be remembered by. What legacy do I want to leave behind, especially with my barbershop? I want it to be a safe space for guys, both young and old, and I want it to inspire the next generation of soon-to-be barbers, doctors, policemen, firemen, military personnel. I just want them to feel inspired when walking in this shop and leaving inspired and doing and pursuing the goals that they are destined to do. If this was the last podcast that I ever got to film, I would want people to know that there are people out there that do care, and they care a lot, and they want to help. They want to use their personal qualities and enhance yours. Hopefully this has shown you a little bit about me, and hopefully you keep watching and enjoy the podcast to come. This is Tooley signing out.